This Jocks 94.5 podcast is brought to you by Millennium Satellite and Video. Log on to msbnow.com. TV excellence everywhere. That's Millennium. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning starts now.
All right, welcome back here, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, as we continue our discussion of Fieros during the break. I'm trying to think of what the best car and the worst car was in our parking lot. I think Heath Evans might have had the best car. He had like a brand new Tahoe, and this is the old Tahoe body style.
Yeah.
So it looked like the GMC or Chevrolet pickup with like a all glass camper on the back.
Really? I think I can visualize that.
This is the best Tahoe body style.
All glass.
It looked like the pickup, but then just a glass camper on the back.
I gotcha.
It was a good looking Tahoe.
I've never seen
black with like wheels, and he had the big tires and whatnot.
I need to get back to like 90s car look. I feel like the square bodies are coming back, like 90s.
A little bit. But and then the worst would be Hart McGarry. He had a
minivan.
No. It was the worst and maybe kind of the best at the same time.
Yeah.
What was the old Dodge Giant SUV?
A Dodge Durango.
No, before that. This is the full size.
Gosh.
I can't remember what they called it. It was basically like their Tahoe, but it was a Dodge. And he had a...
Ooh, the 2025 Durango.
He had like a
sweet.
metal... First off, his front bumper was like steel and came out like a foot and a half from the thing. And then it had... You know that metal that's like X all the way down? It's like you use it as like a gate or a fence.
Yeah.
It's not a fence though, but the front of his like brush guard was made of that. It had that. I'll put it this way. There were many a night that he would ram dumpsters in parking lots and they would slide like 20 or 30 yards down the pavement.
That sounds
got a lot of enjoyment out of that.
Sounds like a fun activity.
It's a lot more fun than you imagine.
We're revisiting this topic of conversation.
We'll come back to this. Chris Burke joining us on the Higginbotham hotline. Do you remember what the old Dodge SUV was, the big one, the full-size one, Chris?
Like, the Durango?
No, it was like 80s or 90s. It was before the Durango.
Was it a Ram Charger?
May have. That sounds possibly right. Here it is right here. I don't know if they're going to give us the name of it, though.
You lost me.
I lost you there. Sorry about that one. All right.
Sorry. But hello. Good morning.
Good to have you. Rolling right into that conversation. Ram Charger. Yeah, that was it. I just found a photograph of it. You got it.
We're back.
Nice call, man.
Okay, so you the tournament shifted just a little bit already, but we do know some of the matchups we're going to get today. Alabama advances over Missouri. Missouri, worst team in the league. But now they get Tennessee. Can you kind of preview that matchup for us a little bit today and what Alabama fans should expect?
I think it's going to be a fascinating one. You know, these two teams played a very tightly contested series on the front end way back what feels like years ago. I think it's a little bit maybe of a elimination game for hosting. You know, Bama's got a hosting resume in some aspects. And oddly enough, Tennessee does too. Now Tennessee's, lost 5 series in a row to finish the season, which is almost hard to verbalize because it's just so out of character with where this team has been and what it feels like they're capable of. But it's true. But if you zoom out and take away some of the context of the specifics of their series and the trends and those kinds of things, they both have what would normally be hosting resume. I mean, they're both a couple games over 500 in the league, and they both have a top 15 RPI. So I think it's an interesting game. I think those two and Ole Miss and Florida to a certain degree, which is kind of cool because they all play each other today, could still be on the backside of the hosting conversation. So I think the bigger picture is that. And then if you're talking about stars, I mean, we're going to open the broadcast today with LeBron and Andrew Fisher. Andrew Fisher is probably the most under the radar best hitter in the league this year. He leads the league in, if you're talking about all games, not just conference games, but all games, he leads the league in homers, walks, OBP, OPS, and he's reached base safely in every single game of the season, which is pretty impressive.
Mm.
And then for my money, I mean, we were talking about it last night at dinner. Justin LeBron, Alabama shortstop, for me, is right up there in the Dansby Swanson, Alex Bregman talent at that position that I've seen since I've been doing this, which is since 2012. So, you know, that's how talented Justin LeBron is. Now, you'd have to do pretty well to have the career that those two guys have had. But if you're just looking at them as college shortstops, like Justin LeBron is as talented as any shortstop we've had in this league in a long, long time. So I think that in and of itself is always a reason to watch an Alabama game.
Yeah, he's amazing. My son actually drew a picture of him last night. He was so inspired. And it's actually pretty good. He drew the pinstripes and everything, which for a 6-year-old, I felt good about it. The pinstripes were moderately straight. Berkey, I don't want any bias coming out of the broadcast from you today. All right. So let's keep it professional.
Yeah.
I know that you will. Obviously joking aside, but everybody always seems to tell people that when they're calling their alma mater's games. I'm not sure why.
You've never heard that.
No,
I've never
heard. I heard it from Cole during the Iron Bowl. I mean, it's unbelievable. A guy in the profession. But
it's unreal.
I think it's going to be great. So far, the single elimination, I think, has been kind of fun. I know we're early in it. I do feel like the gate yesterday was somewhat impacted, but maybe that has to do with the fact that games are starting at 9:30 local. But how so far, just one day in, do you feel about single elimination?
Maybe I can hop back on Friday and give you a better feel for it. I'm not sure. I do think that over the last few years, this event has become a little less about your team winning and a little more about just the event itself. And so I do feel like the biggest and most intense SEC baseball fans just to come. They would certainly prefer their team to stay all week, but they really just want to be here because it is such a great event. And in addition to that, I feel like the team, you know, the last couple weeks of the season, that every year the narrative is, we're going to save our pitching and we're going to rest and we're going to, mail it in at the tournament. And then everybody gets here and it's such a great event and it's they do such a good job of making this thing feel special, the league, that I feel like the coaches and the players always underestimate how much they eventually want to stay once they're here. And so, I think Tennessee's going to throw 3 of their best bullets today against Alabama. And, I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama has a chance to win the game late. They're going to probably run Osmer back out there again. And I think this deal is you could easily look at it outside of being here and call it something less than what it is. But I think we see this every year at the basketball tournament. It's easy to say, people's resumes are they're already in the bag and, don't get hurt, blah, 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 blah. And then every year teams get there and they get here and there's an intensity about it that's hard to place unless you're actually at the event. And so I think like all years, it'll really pick up steam as the week goes on and teams are going to try to win a trophy and put their name, in the record book. Cause that's, at the end of the day, this is a championship. They are handing out a trophy. And I think all these coaching staffs and players are wired to try to win those things.
Chris Burke of the SEC Network joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. I mentioned a little bit earlier, we're talking SEC baseball tournament, which continues today at 9:30 a.m., that the rain had moved some things around. Weather has affected things. It feels like that was sort of built in, so it's not going to be a massive shift. However, Auburn goes a day later. Mississippi State A&M go a day later. Is there a team of what happened last night with the postponement that greatly benefited or greatly worked against with how they will play, when they will play, who they will play?
Well, first of all, let me start out by saying there was no weather last night. I don't know what happened there, bro, but I've been doing this tournament a very long time, and the amount of weather that we've played through and played around has been insane. And last night was one of the most gorgeous evenings I've ever experienced in Hoover. And for some reason there wasn't baseball. I'll try to move on. I was having a hard time last night figuring that one out. Anyway, I would just say right out of the gate, Texas A&M playing this morning, they were going to start Weston Moss, and we got a note this morning that they're going to start Ryan Prager instead. So look no further than to the first game today to see how that's impacting people and how they're using their pitching. Now, Weston Moss has been really good for Texas A&M, and Ryan Prager's been kind of up and down, if we're being honest. He's their number one starter and their veteran guy, so I'm sure they love that they're sending him out there. But, you never know if that actually ends up helping them or if that'll be a bad thing. You just never know. So we'll see. But, yeah, I do think, Cole, that the net effect of them not playing last night, meaning the league, is everybody has a little more, or the teams that got pushed back today, Auburn, as you mentioned, they get a little more flexibility with how they're going to handle their pitching because it's another day's rest.
So is it kind of for every team and the coaches that you've talked to, are they going into it with kind of an all hands on deck mentality each and every day and, hey, let's just get through today and survive until tomorrow? How is it kind of working out, and what has kind of universally been the decisions being made by coaches to see how they handle their staff?
Well, it's a great question. I think it's a little bit of both. I do think one of the storylines here every year that maybe I feel like we talk a lot about on TV, but maybe the fans don't fully grasp is this is the most heavily scouted event of the year for college baseball. And so I think a lot of these coaches prioritize getting their draft-eligible pitchers on the mound, and they want to win the games, and they play to win the games. But, Tony Vitello, and again, two things can be true. They can be the pitchers that make most sense for Tony Vitello to pitch today, and it can also be great opportunities for all three of them to put their best foot forward a few months before a couple weeks, really. I guess it's 6 weeks or so before the draft. So I think Tennessee's going to throw Marcus Phillips, A.J. Russell, and Nate Snead, which are all junior pitchers who could go in the top, 50 to 100 picks. So I do think we've seen in the past some coaches, and in a single elimination tournament, obviously there's a little more urgency to do so. They do want to get some of their biggest prospects opportunities to get out there on that mound. And I think we're getting Riley Quick from Alabama, even though I haven't seen that for sure. And that's another name. If you're a Bama fan listening to the show, like Riley Quick has been a mover here the last month or so. He's got some draft buzz. So there's going to be some arm talent on the bump today in that game for sure.
Absolutely. Hewitt Russell native. Obviously, Brother Pierce played football at Alabama as well. Another Quick family, proud of him. So we appreciate you hopping on today, giving us a little preview of what's going to come today, the next few days of the SEC baseball tournament. I will say this. My wife asked me about the weather, I think at about 6 o'clock last night while we were at dinner. And I looked at the radar, and I said, it looks like about 10:05. We're going to get hit pretty hard, but shouldn't last very long. Before we went to bed, she said, have you checked the weather again and just looked? And there was literally not a drop of rain coming near our home. I don't know what happened, how that happened, what went wrong, what changed, but it did show that it was going to hit, and then a couple hours later showed nothing was going to be there. So I have no explanation for that, but as confused as you were.
Well, the format, I think this year made them feel like they don't need to hurry because it's not 4 games every day for the first 3 or 4 days. They felt like they had space, and they didn't want to get a team out there and have to call them off. So I think they felt like they had space, but it's nobody's fault. It clearly looked like it was going to rain, but the fact that they called it that early was unusual. I'll say that.
Absolutely. All right. Appreciate you hopping on, Chris. Enjoy the rest of the tournament, man. Always good stuff.
All right. Always fun, guys. Later.
All right. That's Chris Burke of the SEC Network talking SEC baseball on the Higginbotham hotline. Alabama, Tennessee today, Greg. It's a big one.
Big one. It should be fun, too. And knowing that there's something on the line with the possibility of hosting a regional is massive. So look forward to it. Should be a fun and an exciting game and obviously rivalry, the third Saturday in October of baseball.
Some of you may be looking forward to feeling
Do you agree
better.
with that?
Yes. If you need to call it that, go for it. Also, the Alabama's number one rival. So have at it.
Third Saturday in October of baseball.
Yeah, that too. Just go ahead and say it's their number one rival and all the other things.
They are our number one rival for sure.
Great. Your CBD store now has products to help you with arthritis, anxiety, better sleep, better focus, weight loss, the Trim by SunMed on the shelves at Your CBD store, the largest brick-and-mortar CBD retailer in the world, first company to have USDA-certified organic oil supplements, gut health, skin care for you or your pet, a lot of different ways that Your CBD store can help not only you, but those in your home. They want to help your daily routine. Check out one of their 3 locations. Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cajun Cleaver, Trussell just off 459. Your CBD store, where good health hits home. There was something that Greg McElroy said when we were discussing vehicles in the first segment of the show. So I want to ask the question, could you right now, if your life depended on it, do something that he brought up? I'll tell you what it is, and we'll find out if we could next on Mac and Cube in the morning.
Go inside Jocks 94.5 on Jocks TV. Morning Jocks, Mac and Cube, 3-man front, video simulcasts are presented by Bill Smith Buick GMC and Game Day Men's Health. Watch on the Jocks mobile app and YouTube by searching Jocks 94.5 TV.